Hello viewers, and welcome to another episode of Reminiscences. Our guest today is Ambassador Ahmed Alghazali, who has a very intimidating CV really. Graduate of the University of Ibadan, 1964, and worked in the Northern Civil Service and the Borno State Government Service after the state creations, virtually as permanent secretary in 4 or 5 ministries before he became the first head of service in the state. And then later on, somehow veered into diplomatic service as ambassador to Iran, to Saudi Arabia. He was a national commissioner in INEC, and I think his last service was as the chairman of the Federal Civil Service Commission. I'm here at his home in Maiduguri. And I'd like to say welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And to start with your name, it's a fairly un-Nigerian name, Al-Ghazali. When I Googled it, trying to look for more information, I was getting the names of prominent people in Iraq and other places. So I wonder how does the name come about for a Borno person?
Well, that Alghazali is the name of my grandfather's name. I believe that they have a reason for it. I didn't interrogate them.
As I'm interrogating you.
That's right, that's right, that's right. So we perhaps leave it at that.
So, but you are from Borno, right?
Yes, from Borno.
Yes. Tell us about your early schooling here in Borno.
Well, I was born in Marte, Borno State, 1938. My first primary school was in Gaidam, 1947. Then I was also in primary school in Guru, where my dad was serving. And then the primary school here in Maiduguri. So I went to 3 primary schools before I went to Borno Middle School. And of course, the rest is, we have seen from the CV, Barewa College and so on.
After Barewa, of course, you were in Zaria, the Nigerian college.
Yes, I was.
And then you went to University of Ibadan.
Yes.
It seems at that period, because I know many prominent people from Borno here, Liman Churoma, Adamu Churoma, perhaps many others I don't know, who are in Ibadan. Was ABU not then an alternative for university studies?
No. I was in Nigerian college after Barewa College.
Yes.
We went to Nigerian college.
Yes.
59.
Yes.
To 1961 and September.
Yes.
Then that time it did not become ABU.
Yes. Okay.
So we went to Ibadan.
Yes.
And at that time, only Mala Adamu Churoma was the only person from Borno.
Yes. Okay.
Well,
Liman has graduated by then.
Yeah, no, he didn't graduate.
Yes.
He was about to graduate.
Right.
And we are very few from the north. I think about 12 or 14 of us out of about nearly 2,000 students that time.
Yes.
Yes.
Was it a strange or difficult experience for you from Borno to find yourself in that setting?
Well, we were all we looked like strangers. kind of being there, although it is one country. The environment is not quite the same. And somehow we managed to acclimatize within the period we were there.
Yeah.
And so it was an experience. While we were there, and the most important thing I can remember while we were there is that we had this incident of Margaret Mitchell Moore, that American girl who wrote some bad things about Nigerians. And she was hurrying up to the class and she dropped a postcard she wrote to her family in America. And it was a very big thing. She said, we were sleeping in the street, we were eating in the street, we were listening this and that. It was a big row. And it was so big that even President Kennedy had to speak. You know,
was she a student in Ibadan?
She was a student, yes.
I see.
Yes, that time we used to get students from abroad, British, American, and so on, were together.
Yeah.
And so it was a big experience. But I think the bigger one was the Defense Pact thing, where Britain wants to enter into Defense Pact with Nigeria. And the students went around and said, no, that will be dangerous because Britain is fond of doing all kinds of things. And so if and when this materializes, then they will come and sometimes bomb Kano, bomb Ibadan, bomb Lagos. And so all went to Lagos to protest.
Right.
And that's the time when the parliament was meeting and senators had to jump out through the window and so on and so forth. But then I think later on Nigeria had to pay dearly for this because when we had the civil war, the British government refused to either sell arms or to us and so on and so forth. And I think the argument, as we later understood, was that the action group then, headed by Chief Awolowo, that spearheaded the protests, was a member of the Federal Executive Council, number 2. And so I think the British were also protesting, and they refused to give us the arms.
Yeah.
That was what we understood.
Yeah. I noticed at that stage in your life, you seem to be a little more political. You are president of the Northern Student Union. You are also secretary, I think, of the NPC, Northern People's Congress Committee.
Yes.
But then, I don't know, why, it seems that political phase was at that point. I don't know if was that experience something that put you up politics later? Because I didn't see it feature again. In your
No. What happened is that I was secretary of the Northern Students Association while we were in Nigerian College. But when we went to Ibadan, I was made to be the president of the Northern Students Association. And then sometime around that time, politics was brewing up. And as a result of this, we were like all school or typical students, very radical. Radical and who are, kind of blaming our government and this and that. And we discovered that sometime in the night, you find that Zik or some of Awolowo's men and so on will come and meet with their students. And so we decided that, we were being paid our school is being paid through the taxpayers' money. And so it is not proper that we should continue to criticize, blame our government, and so on. So we formed the NPC Club, University of Ibadan.
Northern People's Congress.
No, well, yes, yes. No, we use a Congress. We said NPC Club.
Okay.
NPC Club, University of Ibadan.
Okay.
And Colonel Ahmed Ali must go.
Yes.
He was our first chairman. And the people like Jibril Aminu, myself, Aliu, Yaya, Abubakar,
right.
Detti, Ahmed,
yes,
were all members of of that club, and we played actively in defense of the interests of our people.
No, the interest
up here, yes, up here.
Yeah. Were you in Ibadan when the coup of '66 took place?
No, I was already working.
Okay.
I was already working.
Yeah.
I was in Ibadan when the census of 1962 came up.
Yes.
And there were rumors that the North has been beaten this time. We came back. And then we saw what was going on. That particular exercise was cancelled. 62, and another one has been conducted in 63, and the figures were rejected by our compatriots from the south, and we, the club, came up very strongly, and we had to say boldly that we have accepted the figures and so on before even the main NPC in Kaduna. Galadima Ahmed Patagi and Ibrahim Biu, had to speak up.
Yeah.
And that, and then it was brewed up for some time, and then it settled, and the figures were had to be accepted, and so on.
Yeah. Will you say your schooling and experience, which some of it, as you said, is quite negative in Ibadan, has it made you more nationalistic or less?
Well, we made friends across Nigeria, and up till today, I mean, I'm still in touch with some of them. That was good, but then it opened up another thing, that is that a lot of our compatriots don't know about the North. We made sure that we stoutly defended the interests of our own people, and that is, of course, the starting point of departure with our compatriots from the South.
Yeah.
Yes.
It seems after Ibadan, you got a plump job as Assistant Secretary Political in the Premier's office.
Yes.
Was this your first civil service?
That was the first one.
Yes. How was the experience working under the Premier's?
Well, it was a very stimulating experience, and I don't know what to say, because those were great times. We had late Ali Akilu was Secretary Premier. We had Liman Chiroma as acting Deputy Perhaps. We had Sandy Aoni, and so on. These were kind of the bosses.
Ahmed Talib.
Yes, Ahmed Talib. Of course, he was in finance, but that was how it was. And very orderly, and people very interested in about their own people, very patriotic. And we learned a lot of things, kind of from them. But then I think when I moved to the Ministry of Local Government, that is where I had another experience where Sultan Dasuki was my permanent secretary. And the case of appointment of chief of police of one of these local governments from the Northern Emirates was brought. And being a young man, you know, just, they say police process, AS, police process. So I started processing. And to the best of my ability, from what I know, I processed. And I disrecommended the appointment of that person to the position of chief of police. And so when he went up to my permanent secretary, Dasuki, they said they should look for Ghazali. They should look for Ghazali, and so you know those times when they say the permanent secretary is calling his like a malaika. I was almost shivering. Called me and then like to his office. He said Alan Gubro and this and that, and then he was being friendly, calmed me down and gave me a cup of tea. And then he said, he said, this minute you wrote it? I said, yes. Very cold day. And he said, yes, it's very fine, very good. I'm impressed with it. But you see, unfortunately, we can't do what he said. This person is the son of an emir, and the emir, the premier's person, very close friend, and the premier has promised that he was going to appoint his son, and that they went all up and down during this London conference and this and that together. And so it is very difficult for me to babaya magana biyu, and therefore, so yazakai, you know. So he was telling me to go and
undo your processes.
So I came back and then tried to do another minute, you know, tone down, because that particular person failed in the police college. He failed even in Hausa, for information.
Yeah.
So I had to redo the whole thing, and then I took it down to him. He really said, "Otto, you can go." So then he called me later and said, "You see, the reason why I called you is that, you see, you people are young people. You don't know many things. You don't know that this is son of an emir. You don't know that the emir was the premier's personal friend. You don't know that they did all the things together. And so if there is superior information, always you should always give way. That's why I called you."
Yeah. So things are not as perfect as they are presented.
Well, they are not. You have to think. You have to think deeply, and so on and so forth. Do some own inquiries.
There are lots of stories about the premier where we never seem tired of them.
Yes.
Seems to be a model of a leader. Having worked in his office, do you think those stories are the kind of thing we exaggerate when somebody has passed away and we look back with nostalgia?
No, no, he was really a very great, was a great man. So he was a great teacher, and then you always feel that very generous, extremely generous.
But I understand that everybody is required also to be in his house in the evening. He likes the big father.
Yeah,
so
well, no, it's not requires, really. It's not requires, but people
do it.
It's a typical kind of northern thing. That people just, if they feel that they don't go, no, and so on and so forth. But he does not insist that you have to go. You know, he doesn't do that.
So after your career in the Northern Service, of course you went around provinces as DO and all that. Now you found yourself at home as a permanent secretary in many ministries, eventually head of service. Was it more challenging being a top administrator at home among your people in Borno here than what it was, let's say, in the wider regional service?
No, the wider regional service, you know, I went to Muri.
Yes.
At a time when Abba Tukur had just been appointed emir. And he was giving a lot of problems to the administration. And so I was nominated from the Premier's office to go and kind of contain him. And it was a very tough job because I started to get my gray hairs from that kind of exercise.
That early?
That early. And that was 65. And I started to getting threats of assassination and this and that. And we used to have big rows with him. And
you were the DO for the province?
Yes, I was DO.
Yes.
DO in charge of Muri division. Muri division. And one of the problems, we went to Yola, to the provincial secretary, Suleiman Liman Agai, a great man. And sometimes we come back and he reports to Kaduna and so on. So there was an incident where he intercepted our letters because whatever report on him is written by my office or the provincial secretary's office to Kaduna, he will have a copy somehow.
The emir?
Yes, we don't know how, but he will have a copy. So he had a copy of one of these things, and then one day, so he asked, sent somebody to the provincial secretary and said, look, come quickly to Muri, to Jalingo, otherwise something will blow up. So late Musa Sanko was then the provincial secretary. You know, he drove to Muri, came to Zing, and asked where is the emir of Zing. He said, Sarki Muri has asked him to be there in Maza. So when he came, but the protocol was for him to come to me as his admin officer.
Yes.
So he just veered and went to the emir and found the emir with his courtiers. The emir was angry when he was speaking and said, today, this DO is either me or
the DO.
Yes, or the DO. I would not accept this one, blah, 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 you know. So he must go with you to Yola. I can't work with him and things like that. So the Prof came around 6 to Jalingo about 6 p.m. and then he kept him for about 3 hours. So he came to me about 9 p.m. You know, I was listening to the radio in the house and said, I saw the green Pontiac. There are 2 green Pontiacs in Adamawa. One is the Propsec, one is the Emir. So I thought it was the Emir. So I said, what brought this man to me? So it was the provincial secretary. So the provincial secretary said, you didn't notify me that you are coming. He said, please, please. I came 6 o'clock, and then this is what has happened. The letter has been intercepted by this. I said, very good. I said, it's a security risk. Straight away. And I said, that's why the man should not be AMI. That's why the man should not be confirmed. That should not be given staff of office. I said, do Allah. So then he said, all right. So he left for Yola in the night. And then I think it was a promise that I will move to Adamawa, and Sheikh Suleiman was to come to Jalingo, to Tumuri. So 1 day, 2 days, he didn't see anything. So his opponents of the emir, they were in the majority. All his elder brothers were in the opposition. So they say, Sarkiya Kariya. And that pained him. And he went back again. So around the same time, there was trouble of this this Araba thing. And all the emirs were summoned to Kaduna.
This is the riots in the north here.
Yes. So he was summoned to Kaduna. And so when I got the message, I didn't tell him why he was going, and it was an advantage.
I think at this point we will take a break and resume after a short while.
Okay.
In this session we're having with Ambassador Ahmed Alghazali. Please join us soon. Thank you. Welcome back to our session with Ambassador Ahmed Alghazali, former chairman of the Federal Civil Service Commission, among many other things which has done. I think we were at the point where he said he went to the US for a master's degree, I believe University of Pittsburgh.
Yes.
And then later on, by the time it was 67 and the new states were created. So this is the beginning of your moving to the northeast, to Borno in particular.
Yes.
And I had earlier asked, did you find it really more difficult being an administrator among your people? You are PAMSEC in many ministries. You are the head of service here of Borno. I believe the first one here in Borno.
No, to the northeast, we were working with people like Liman Chiroma and others and so on.
Yes.
So, and the war has, was on.
Yes.
So, I was posted to the North Sarona province.
Yes.
That is Mubi.
Yes.
The war was on, and then the relationship with our neighbors was not quite good. And there are fears that the Biafrans and so on may coming through,
Cameroon.
Yes, and so on and so forth. So that was my first task.
Yeah.
And I was tasked to go and see what was happening. I went to Cameroon Garoua to meet the governor there, my first diplomatic assignment. I met him, and he was told that we were told that some Biafrans were seen on the border doing some exercise, and maybe they were trying to cross into Nigeria, and they are on the Cameroonian side and so on. So he was to find out. He said, okay, I should spend the night in Garoua with him. And the following morning, he said, Sous-Prefet, I'm going to tell you one thing. He said, you see, if the house of your neighbor catches fire, if you don't help him to quench that fire, it will spread onto your own. So we will not allow this thing to happen. And secondly, the eye sees the man he likes and the man he doesn't like. But your legs can carry you to only where the heart. So that you came is an indication that you people love us and so on. So from there we built up that one up to the point where it got to President Ahijo. Ahijo was very happy with us, and he gave the green light to the governor to deal with us freely. And I also got the green light here to deal with them freely. So I was going in and out of Cameroon until we built a very strong kind of foundation. And we made the governors exchange visits. So we went to Cameroon, the governor of Cameroon came here and so on and so forth. So it was, and then at the end of it, in fact, it got to a point where I had to meet President Ahijo in Garoua, you know, and he was telling us about the civil war. He said, very good, but you see, the only problem with you people is that war is war. You are talking of police action, this, you are like we are playing. You just do it and then you finish everything. And also you are not giving us information. And he said, look, that chair you see, he said that's where two ambassadors were around here for foreign countries. And they are insisting that I should not support Nigeria. If I continue to do so, they know what to do with me. So this is the kind of thing we get. And you Nigeria, are not giving us information. So I came back to Nigeria, gave information to the governor, and then we had to go to Lagos. And we met General Gawan. And then from there, Gawan said, look, okay. He said Diori too was complaining about this, that information was not sufficient for what was happening in Nigeria, and they've stuck their necks out, you know, to be guillotined by French and so on. So, and that's how it was. And I'm glad that the relationship is fine now. We have done something in that regard. And of course, from there, then I moved to the governor's office here. As, and did all the things we did. And here, the only problem we had was head of service when I was during the political days, Goni administration. And of course, you know, the NPN, GNPP thing. And our own kind of government was like an aberration. And they wanted to crush us, you know.
Who wanted to crush you?
The big power. Lagos.
MPN.
Yes.
Because you are GMPP.
Yes. Yes. And then that gave us a lot of problem because we were working for 25 hours, not even 24, to survive. And that was the problem. And of course, alhamdulillah, we survived. And we succeeded. And up till today, the records that we had during our time were unsurpassed by any succeeding administration.
As a former permanent secretary of education here in Borno, when you see what's happening with Boko Haram, where there is a group of people who don't even want kids to go to school, what happened that Borno, which used to be actually one of the best represented community in the Northern Civil Service with PAMSEX, that now things have turned to a situation where people were even advocating not going to school at all?
No, that one is a different kind of kettle of fish, you know. Is another subject by itself. This one will take us another month to talk about.
Okay, let's take a few minutes.
Okay.
What happened? Because you have the inside, your PalmSec education at one time.
No. At that time, you know, there was nothing like this. We didn't see anything like this because
Yes.
what happened about Boko Haram, almost people just saw it, didn't see it coming. Nobody saw it coming. Nobody saw it coming.
Doesn't it have to do with this population of school kids out of school?
No.
There's an army of Al-Majirei and people who are recruitable to this thing.
It is not even Al-Majirei. You know, when the first thing happened here in 2009, that is when they actually took over Maiduguri. And even the army had to come in because they overpowered the police.
Yes.
At that point in time, many people were reported killed and so on and so forth. But you can go around Maiduguri, you will hardly see a place where mourners were sitting. So those who committed all this came from outside Maiduguri and they are not indigenous of this place. You see, that is really the point. And of course, later on, there are conscripts and so on and so forth, and that's how they came into it. But initially, they were not part of it.
Tell us a little bit about your career as a diplomat. You were ambassador in Iran, later in Saudi Arabia.
Well, Iran, I went to Iran during the Iran-Iraq War.
Why were you appointed at all? Why not a career person?
I don't know. I don't know, but I went there. I'm not sure that it could make a difference, but all the same, perhaps those who appointed me thought that I could make it. And I think, in this respect, I will say proudly that I did my best. So I think what I saw in Iran has taught me a lot of things. It was a wonderful country. They know what they were doing. They're almost all young people. The time I went, people like Sayyid Ali Khamenei, who is one of the leader of the revolution, people like Rafsanjani, Musavi, Ardebili, and all that. They are all young people tortured by, by the Pahlavi administration. They were, some, they had their fingers, their fingernails pulled out, and so on and so forth. Many things that happened to them.
Yeah.
But they stood their ground.
Yeah.
They are fiercely independent and very sovereign. And very sovereign. You can't dictate to them. Nobody can dictate to Iran. And even during the war, we were surviving. The foreign ministry was giving us kind of rice, meat, and the things we can't get, and even to the people. And so they had an excellent governor of the central bank, one called Nur Bash. Nur Bash, will fight when he had money and then stop when, this treasure is going down. And that's how they did.
Yeah.
And Alhamdulillah, that was Iran. We learned many things, and about the chicaneries of the foreign powers trying to bring down that particular kind of government, which they didn't like, and they're afraid of it. And they did not, of course, succeed.
Yeah.
Only partially. I was not there when the the 100 top Iranians, the top, only 98 were blown up at one go.
Wow.
And only Rafsanjani, who was sent somewhere, and the leader of the revolution, the present one, who went down to South Tehran.
Khamenei.
Yes, Khamenei. Khamenei went down to downtown for another. They were the only ones who survived, but the other 98 were blown up. You know, so that is kind of, they've gone through so many things, and they were undaunted. They were undaunted. In any other administration, probably would have collapsed. Yeah. But you can't do that to them. Yeah. Turkey had to move to Turkey ultimately. Yeah. And Turkey, the important thing was the military was in charge then in Turkey.
So your position was concurrent, Iran and Turkey?
Yes, concurrent with Turkey. Yeah. So I moved to Turkey. From the Turkey, there was a problem in Turkey with the military and the civilian. Yes. And the civilians were saying the military should go, you should not be here, you should be in the barracks. And the military arguing that, look, we are stakeholders, you know, of the system also. It's when you spoil the things that we come in. So if you don't spoil the thing, we never come in. And so they said, okay, if you will give it back to you today, and you spoil it tomorrow, we'll come back. Yeah. So we'll give you that promise. So up till now, you know, I think that promise is there. Yeah. That's still a tussle. Yes. If you mess up, we'll come back. Yeah. They told them this one. Saudi Arabia is a fine country. It's a monarchy, and when people talk of it's only democracy or so that where you get development and so on, that's not hold water. Yeah. With what we used to see in because when you go to Saudi Arabia this year, you saw something. They go the following year, you will see something different. Yeah. You know, and so on and so forth. But they were also under pressure to democratize, not to publish the so many copies of the Holy Quran in Medina. There are many things. They are also under their own pressure, but you see, they don't talk. Yeah. But they resisted. Unfortunately, the sons of King Abdulaziz. That time I went, it was Fahad. Fahad died, and so on and so forth. Abdullah. In fact, one or two, I think, sons. But then they jumped to the present one. Grandson, present one. Yes. Present one. So, and we wish him the very best of luck.
Was it a difficult posting considering how many Nigerian big men go there? And of course, we'll want to see or demand services from the ambassador.
Protocol-wise, it's difficult because they don't understand it. All those big people you talk about, they are well funded. They have their own money. They have this and that, and yet when they go, they still demand, you know, our own services, which are, you know, never enough.
So what do you do?
Well, sometimes you try to explain. Sometimes they don't understand, and sometimes they complain. They come home and complain. They said, "My mother was left stranded at the airport," or "My wife was this, that." So you do to the best of your ability. Yeah. Yes.
One of the things you did in the federal service is your INEC, National Commissioner of INEC. I believe this was the election that was eventually annulled by General Babangida.
Yes.
What happened during that election? I know you are not the chair, but you are one of the national commissioners.
Yes, well, the election was annulled. many things went wrong, actually. Right from the word go, the SDP and the NRC, at the point of the convention in Jos and Port Harcourt, the report was that there are many things that were not right, and therefore that convention should be cancelled and another one, fresh one, should be done. And somehow, as it went up to government, there was some disquiet, and then they said, yes, there was going to be the election again, and then this came up, and then we were taken to, while we were collating, we were taken to court. And as body appointed under the law, and that operates under the law, so we have to follow the law.
Yeah.
So we stopped collating.
But there is the belief that MQ Abiola won the election.
Well, we didn't.
The collation stopped.
We didn't do that. I was not privy to that one. So when the collation was not complete, you cannot say officially that A or B won. But obviously, I mean, he was ahead of Topper. Yes. How it came about, I don't know.
But aren't you close to Babangida to know, to either judge whether really the military didn't want to go? That the ultimate problem was that they didn't really want to go?
No. The military has nothing to do with us. In fact, they did not interfere at any point, to the best of my knowledge. The thing just came about. And as I said at the beginning, there's a gap in our knowledge. And there are things that they know that we don't know. And as Babangida himself was explaining at some point, said he took the action to to stop a bigger calamity. So that one is, you journalists have to ask him what the big calamity is. But yes, but then I think there is something that we Nigerians don't know yet about that big calamity. Yes.
Yeah. You said somewhere that the last bit of your career as a civil servant, as the chairman of the Federal Civil Service Commission,
yes,
that you did the best you could. You left it better than you found it.
Yes.
Did you really? I think you are hinting that you found it in a mess.
Well, you see, after Decree 48 of 1988, that reform, the civil service was like a battlefield. It was like a battlefield, because under that particular decree, the powers of you didn't have a kind of civil service really again. And all the ministers were given powers to recruit, appoint, promote, and so on. So there was virtually no civil service. And so you find that your own classmate with whom you graduated together, and you are, say, on the same level before the reform. If he was in the ministries being headed by a minister from his state or something, and you are in somewhere else, you find that after the reform, he will be about two levels ahead of you. That kind of thing. For no other reason than that perhaps he was his kind of minister, and then this other one did not promote you. So there are all kinds of complaints. And we had to sit down and do this proper placement and this and this and this and this and that. And so that's why I said we did our own best. But then, given the reform, you see there are so many of it, things that have been done that we even out-reformed ourselves. to the point of deformation rather than reformation, you know.
So in other words, really the civil service is still in a mess.
Well, I wouldn't say after I have left.
You left in 2011.
Yes. So up to now, I hear stories here and there, but I don't have firm knowledge.
But what is your assessment at the point you left, 2011?
No, at the point I left, I think it was better than how we found it. Yes, it was better. It was good. It was, people were being promoted as and when due, you know, and so on. The promotions were well done, you know, and so on. All the steps we used to take, we did, and people are generally happy. People are generally happy.
So did you face any pressure from the government not to really, you know, tamper with their reform, to do what is right? That is to kind of change the decree 48.
There was no pressure. The pressure came perhaps from some people in government who are from the private sector, you know, background. And that is actually what was driving the reform, you know, to the point of deform. But then, alhamdulillah, we did it. We did and left it at that.
Since you retired in 2011, have you been called to kind of help here and there in the running of the...
No, no.
I keep hearing that from so many retired, you know, people who have served at the highest level.
Yes.
You are simply forgotten.
No, well, they know we exist, but perhaps we are yet to be called.
So what do you do now, sir, since you retired, since 2011?
I'm resting.
Just resting here in Maiduguri? But I mean, you need to, you probably need to make a living somehow. Is that, or maybe you have saved enough not to worry about that?
No, not at all. Yeah. Not at all. It's not that. I mean, I've always led a very modest life. Very modest life. That is right from the word go. From the parents and to the schools where I went, all this middle school, and I was talking to you, the kind of food we used to eat. If we left it, the following morning the prisoners would come and clean it, and they won't even eat the food. And whoever you are...
Yeah, school food?
Yes. And we eat rice once a week on Monday. And whoever you are never allowed to eat anything else other than what is being cooked in the school. So the late Sheikh of Borno, for example, was in the school. You know, the son of the late Sheikh of Borno, Waziri, and everybody, we all had to eat together. You see, so as a result, you are being disciplined to eat whatever you get, and so that even you got into a situation which is a difficult one, you could survive.
So since retirement, you didn't have to do any other work or farming or things that...
No.
What hobbies do you have? What do you do with your time since you are resting?
Look at this one.
Yes.
You see,
I've seen
I've seen it.
Yes. But on your CV, it says reading and traveling.
Yes, well...
So how much traveling do you do?
Now that traveling is now gone. As an old man, I don't travel.
Not even to Saudi Arabia?
No. Well, once or twice, I think, I was in Saudi Arabia.
After being ambassador?
Yes, yes. I was in Saudi Arabia last, 2013? I think 2013.
10 years.
Yes, that was the last time
Yes.
I was in Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
Yes.
So you don't have any urge to travel? You don't do any traveling?
No, no, no.
What of the reading?
Reading, I read Arabic books, Islamic books, so on and so forth.
How is family life for you?
Fine, beautiful. I'm glad, I'm happy, very happy.
Yes.
Yes. Very happy.
How many, you have kids, grandchildren, all that?
I have 12 of them.
12 kids?
I have 12 of them. No, they are grown up. The youngest one is 20, was born 1998 in Mecca. So that's the youngest one.
Yes.
The first one, 1970, is around, I think I had him.
Yes.
And followed by Ibrahim, who is a diplomat. He just returned from Cairo. He's now in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Yes.
And I had some in Ministry of Interior, some having in finance, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
So what would be a typical daily routine for you if you wake up in the morning?
Prayer, meet people who have come to see me, or any person who has come to seek for advice, advise him accordingly, and that's that.
So you're mostly here in Maiduguri, you don't really move around even in
I
the
don't
country?
move at all, at all, at all.
Do you do any exercises to keep fit, or any special diet that you?
I've been pressured to do keep fit by my children, and I'm trying to.
Yes. What do you do?
And well, walking around inside, inside here, and even that one, during the from 2009, you had to discontinue because you don't know who is Boko Haram, you don't know this one, he's lurking behind you. And when people see you walking, somebody, they know, this kind of thing. Yes.
What of diet? Do you still carry over the old school diet that you?
The one we eat, our own brabusco and this and that, and
no restrictions.
No. Of course, no diabetes, no this, no that. That's all. Yes.
Thank you, Ambassador Alghazali, for
Thank you very
giving
much.
us this time to talk to you.
Thank you.
And our viewers, you have enjoyed this session with him, and will join me to wish him more long life and opportunity to serve the country.
Thank you.
Thank you. Until another time, goodbye.